Welcome to Goofy Getaways with your hosts, Amy Blades and Amy Fisher.
Hello, and welcome to the Goofy Getaways podcast. I'm Amy Blades, owner and CEO, and you will notice that I do not have my counterpart today. She's actually on maternity leave, which I have permission to say, but she'll be back with us probably not too long. So in her absence, I get to actually have two special guests instead of just one. And both of these individuals are very important to Goofy Getaways, our travel agency, and also were on the Disney Destiny preview with me. So you're great company. I'm going to let each of them explain who they are with the company. I will first introduce Charles, who is the CFO. Do you want to give just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a co-founder of Goofy Getaways. My mom and I started it in 2013 together. I do a lot behind the scenes, however, love to go to the special events and do these fun things. So can't wait to talk about the Destiny.
Yeah, so maybe sit tight. We're trying to talk him into showing up on the podcast a little bit more. And the next, someone who is not a stranger to the show, but I will also let her explain who she is because she also has a new role with Goofy Getaways that we're really excited about. So, Kayla, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm back. My name is Kayla. I am actually going to be the VP of Creative Strategy for Goofy Getaways. So keep an eye on all of our socials because I'll be taking over a lot of the new things that are coming, which is also why I was able to go on the Destiny. So very excited to share some of that today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the Destiny. I feel like it was a whirlwind for specifically for Kayla and I. We had an enormous amount of travel leading up to the Destiny, but that was the way that we finished, like this incredible journey of travel that you guys will hear a lot more about coming up if you haven't already on our socials. But let's talk about what we're here to talk about today, and it's the Destiny. Everyone knows that Disney Cruise Line is my favorite cruise line, and Disney did not disappoint with the Destiny. I was a little nervous originally just because I am truly a Treasure fan. The Disney Treasure, I think, is absolutely stunning. And for me, when I walked on board and I looked at, we're going to call it the atrium today, I'll refer it to something else. You guys will know what I'm talking about. I loved, it was absolutely stunning. And I love what they've done with the concept of the atrium, which we're going to talk about, because that actually is a huge part of the ship, of the immersion, and I'm really excited to hear what the two of you think about that. We've talked a little bit, but we really have kind of saved really talking about it until today. So in talking about kind of the overview, what was your just general overview when you walked on board, Charles, and kind of your thought about the Destiny in general? And then Kayla, I'll have you just answer the same thing.
Yeah, so this was my seventh Disney ship, and it's my fifth actually this year. So I would say that I'm pretty familiar with all of the Disney ships, and I liked the Destiny. It was kind of a mix between the Wish and the Treasure. I like the Treasure a little bit more, but I thought the colors were there, and the Black Panther statue was very cool as well.
Something that I found really intriguing, tell me if you guys agree or disagree, and then Kayla, I'd love to hear what you say, was just I love Disney, I love Mickey, I love Minnie, but being on board and seeing the Black Panther, seeing Loki, seeing the villains, it just brings a totally different feel to the ship, in my opinion. But what was your thought, Kayla? This, and let me say, this was Kayla's first actual Disney cruise also. So not just, doing a ship tour like she has done for us before, but actually being able to go, have a room, stay. So tell us about that, your experience, the Destiny, your first ship.
Yeah, so like Amy said, this was my first one. I have toured the Wish before, but that was kind of my only experience with Disney Cruise Line until this. So I was very, very excited. And I think that the ship it really surprised me, but in the best way, in a way that I wasn't really expecting. I think that it's so beautiful in just not a way that you would expect. And I think we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but just the amount of cultural things that are in this ship I'm obsessed with. Like, that is my favorite thing about this ship. And so, like, with the Black Panther and some other things, like I said, we'll talk about, like, just walking in, I was like, wow, this really blew me away. And I was not expecting that. Because to be honest, from concept art, it didn't really look very impressive. Sorry, but it didn't look that great. But seeing it in person, the colors are so rich and vibrant. Like, it feels very rich. That's the only
It's
way I can
hard,
really
yeah.
describe it.
And what we'll talk about in a little bit is that 3 days that we run was not nearly enough time. It was enough for us to get a little taste to be able to share with everybody, but it is the reason that we chose the Destiny for our friends and family sailing. So we are going to actually have 5 nights on that. And I'm excited to go back because I think there's so much that we didn't even see or really didn't get to enjoy. But yeah, I do love that Kayla fell in love with this ship because she was kind of like,
well,
Marvel
okay. And I
villains,
also
and
want to
then-
say, yes, about that. I am not a villains fan. I'm not a Marvel fan. But I think that's what was so surprising about this ship is that even if you're not a villains fan or a Marvel fan, if you are a 90s baby, you will love this ship.
I agree. Teaser. So let's segue into the staterooms. Let's just talk about that because when you get on board, the ship is beautiful. Some people have different feelings about, hey, I'm great if I'm in an inside stateroom. There are other people that are like, no, I have to have the 2-bedroom villa. So let's talk about these amazing staterooms. Kayla and I were able to do. Actually, Charles, you also did the tour. So all of us have seen every single room category. Do you want to start, Kayla, and just kind of talk about? I'll let you talk about that because I think you had a little more time in the staterooms for sure.
Yeah, so your primary rooms on this ship are going to be an interior room, which means you're basically like in the middle part of the ship. You are not going to have any sort of window. Those are going to be your kind of most budget-friendly rooms because they don't have the windows. So typically people don't go towards those, but they can be a really great money saver. And the rooms are actually pretty spacious. Walking into them, like I was surprised at how large they felt. So don't let that scare you. But then your next level up is going to be an ocean view. So this is basically a big porthole window. That's the best way I can describe it. It lets in tons of light, and we actually stayed in a veranda, which if you look at the ocean view and you look at the ocean view with the veranda, they're basically the same exact room. The only difference is that the veranda has a veranda and the ocean view just has a window. And I think unless you're somebody that you really are like, I have to sit on my veranda, I think if you want to save a little bit of money, again, that ocean view, wonderful option. I think that's might be the room that we're doing in June. And I'm very excited because I think the rooms are very beautiful.
I remember you saying that, honestly, after you toured it. I do remember that was something you were surprised about. And you were like, Amy, that ocean view room is perfect.
Well, it's huge. The window is like floor to ceiling. It's like you can literally stand in it if you really wanted to. Like it's huge window. So it lets in just as much light as a veranda room. But then if you are wanting to be a little bit more bougie, they do have the concierge staterooms, which most of those are going to be with the verandas. But then they also have the suites. So there are 2 suites. There's the funnel suite, which this is like the Big Mac Daddy of Disney staterooms. The one on this ship was Iron Man themed, which surprising, as someone who's not a Marvel fan, I really liked it. I thought they did a really good job making a lot of the details very tasteful. They still had that little bit of that Disney feel, but it wasn't so in your face.
Like upscale kind of? Is that a modern upscale? I don't know how to explain it, but just really clean.
The colors are really rich. Like it was really cool. And that one can sleep. Oh, it's been a couple weeks now. I can't remember, but I want to say like 8 people or something like that. Yeah. So if you've got a big old party and you want to split it however many ways, there you go. It's 2 floors. So you have these big, beautiful windows. You've got all these big, beautiful bedrooms, like a huge family room area. Super cool. And then kind of like sort of the sister to that is their 2-level suites. The one that we toured was Hercules themed, which again, 90s babies, I'm telling you, this ship is so cool. Beautiful room. Again, 2 floors can sleep. I think that can sleep 8 too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You got these
That
big,
one, I thought
beautiful.
that one was 6. I think that one's
It
6.
could be
Is
6.
Hercules
Yes, you're
6?
right, because the Iron Man one had the little bunk bedroom.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So Hercules suite is a little bit smaller, but I wouldn't even say it's small. It's not small. It's quite
beautiful.
large.
That bathroom too. You could just have your cruise in
Yes.
the bathroom. I'm telling you, that
I will
tub and
say the
shower is
bathroom,
incredible.
oh my gosh, that's like bucket list is
It's
to sit in
beautiful.
that bathtub and look at the ocean. It's just so stunning.
Yeah.
They have a lot of beautiful mosaic work. There's a lot of blues and gold colors. Like it's very gorgeous. So
What
I
were
was
your
very impressed
thoughts,
with all the
like,
rooms.
Charles? Because you've been on every ship. You've seen every. Honestly, look, you and I have both seen every state room or room type on each ship. What was your thought?
Yeah, I think the character addition was a great addition on the Wish class ships. And this one was great as well. I really loved the Brave rooms. I thought that those were
Yeah.
great.
We
There were
were
Big
in
Hero
what?
6
Incredibles.
rooms. We
Ours
were
was
in an incredible
Incredibles.
room.
Yeah.
There were, yeah, I think that that has been a really great addition. And each level, the carpet kind of matches whatever the aesthetics of the room are, which is fantastic. I think it's just super cool. I am a Lion King fan, so I think I like the
Mhm.
treasure concierge rooms a little bit more because they're Lion King themed.
Fair.
However, they're all really, really cool. Sorcerer Mickey
I was gonna say they do
is,
have Sorcerer Mickey in the concierge rooms on
yeah.
the
So I mean,
Destiny.
like, they're all great though. I mean, they have done just an excellent job with that. I will say, I think that's one of the best additions on this class of ships. Is people are
That
sailing
Sorcerer
Disney
Mickey.
Cruise
Oh.
Line
Mm-hmm.
for characters. I mean, really, that if, and I would say in the past, people have asked, if I don't like Disney, is Disney Cruise Line really for me? And I would say the original 2 ships, like you could sail those without, there's not as much intellectual property. These ships, there's so much intellectual property. There's characters in all the rooms. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a give and take, but as a whole, I think any other company in the world be, they would kill to have what Disney has. And they have so many great characters. So
I think it's what brings
it's
people to the
awesome.
ships, don't you think? Especially with new theming, and you have kids or grandkids that are obsessed or love a certain character, and Disney Cruise Line's the way to go. You get everything all in one, and your character experiences are different. The theming is different. I think it's smart on Disney's part. That's exactly what they're doing, is pulling in exactly what you said, that you fall in love with the IPs, right?
And I think they do it very tastefully too, though. Like it's not in your face. It doesn't feel super kitschy. Like it still feels very high class. It's still like it's very beautiful. Like all of the artwork that you see on the ship, like it's
Right. Right.
beautiful.
It's not overly
Hmm.
charactery, especially when you walk in. That's the thing on any of Disney's ships. I love when you walk into the atrium. There's just something special to me about each one. And what they've done with these Wish class ship, or these, the new ships. I want to talk about, even, well, we can talk about it in a minute, but the lighting in the shows, and just how immersive they've turned that into as part of the experience, which is another reason people want to go, right?
I think that's a perfect segue. Yeah. I mean, I mean, everything is character related. I was just trying to think. There's only one thing that I can think of that isn't IP based, and it's the spa itself,
That's true.
the
What do you think
rainforest
about
room,
that?
the
Hmm.
spa, and the in the gym. Other than that, I mean, even Paulo, Ashante,
True.
everything. Yeah. Which I mean
Yeah.
is it's not a bad thing. But if you're a character person, I mean, like I would pick my
Oh,
stateroom on which IP I liked the most. And it's exactly as you said,
absolutely.
it's throughout the whole ship.
I think
Yeah,
these new ships, they're catering a lot to the theme park goers, the people who love to go to the theme parks. These are the cruise ships for you.
I would
Yep.
agree, because I'll let Kayla talk about, because she actually well, that's a whole story in itself, how I waited and then I got tired of waiting, so I walked away, and 5 minutes later the show started, and Kayla's like, "Where did you go and why did you leave?" But let's talk about that, because That was absolutely stunning. I've seen the video of it now, and I will definitely be making myself go when we go in June. But let's talk about the lights because that's unlike anything on any ship.
That was such a cool surprise. I remember before they were telling us about how the atrium was going to transform. And I was like, wait, because the way they talked about it, they just kind of like slid that comment in there, and everyone was like, hold on, wait, what do you mean? It's going to transform. What does that mean? But oh my gosh, it was so cool. So when you first walk into the ship, and I think this is why also the concept art wasn't super impressive, is because it's very simple, but it is very grand and beautiful. But what really steps it up the notch is these lighting packages that they do. So all throughout the day, and I'm talking 24 hours. So it might be different lighting at 2 a.m. than it is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just depending on what is going on. But they will have all these different lights to kind of set a mood. They will also change the music depending on what's going on. I know at one point Maleficent was doing a meet and greet in there, and they had everything green, and they had like her music playing, and it was super cool when they do, yeah, anytime they do any sort of like entertainment in that space, they change the lighting. But what Amy was talking about, what's really cool, and this is probably one of my favorite things that they did, they call it the Kiss Goodnight, and they do it on I believe all the Triton class, which is what they called like the Wish, the Treasure, and the Destiny. They do it on all of these ships. So at midnight, if you're sitting in the atrium, they do this little like music light show situation. And so I remember the very first night, because nobody has really been on this ship. When we went on, like we were some of the first people on this ship. So none of us even really knew if it was going to happen. So there's a whole bunch of us just sitting on the floor, staring at the ceiling, being like,
hoping that something's going to happen.
I hope something's going to happen. Otherwise, we're all going to feel real stupid. And then we're all sobbing at the end of it because we were not expecting it to be that beautiful. They do this like homage to Wakanda song. Like it's so beautiful. You hear these drums and this really emotional music, and then you have all these purples and blue lighting and like gold, and it just keeps changing, and everyone's just sobbing by the end of it because we were like, wait, I didn't expect it to be that beautiful. I was like, you guys have to come see this. And so the next night we're waiting, and I kid you not, like we were standing there and Amy's across the atrium talking to somebody, and then it starts, and then I look over and she's gone, and I'm like, where did you go? She's like, oh, I couldn't wait. I was like, girl, it started already.
Like not even 5 minutes later. I can't wait to see it. I will say it is something that I know you put on TikTok, on our Goofy Getaways TikTok, which got an incredible amount of views. And I think some of it is because we were the first on the ship as far as guests to come and stay. I mean, that was like their first like a dress rehearsal. I can't wait to see it because the video looks stunning and everybody was talking about it. And everybody is talking about just the way that the atrium comes to life in general. That was how you kind of know what character is going to be here or who's going to be there. And I love the ships when you go and, you know, I've been on the ship where Mickey has walked in the elevator with me, right? Or you're walking down the hall and Goofy's there. But there's just something different if you're somebody that is a Marvel fan, mom of boys. Everybody knows that. I talk about it a lot. Love princesses. I have boys that love princesses. Nothing against princesses, but I was so excited for this ship because we are a Marvel family. And so having Marvel characters, and I'm a huge villains fan. So there's just something about when you're walking along and all of a sudden Cruella pops up, or you're walking along and all of a sudden there's Maleficent. I mean, it was just for me so special that each time I get on a ship, it takes me someplace else, or it reminds me of why it is that I love Disney Cruise Line. And it's just, for me, the difference in this ship is obviously that, just the character experience. So we could talk about that forever, but is there anything you wanted to add about the Atrium Sun? Because I know that you also are, and that's probably why I'm more interested in the atriums and the lights, you know, like on the Dream and the Fantasy. They're, oh my gosh, they're stunning. And these are so different. And this was the thing when we went on the Wish, I remember walking in and I was like, what is this? Like, this doesn't look like the Dream or the Fantasy. And then once I got it. But do you want to talk about that for a minute? Kind of what you're about the entire feel of the...
I would say that it's the focal point of the ship. I mean, it is the entire ship, and more than any other, more than even the Treasure, more than the Wish. I mean, at one point we were just walking, we were going to grab a coffee because they have the coffee shops on 4 and 5 overlooking the atrium. I mean, everything is basically centered around the atrium. In fact, if people were to ask me where should we stay, I would actually stay closer to the atrium on the Destiny in particular. And I say that because at one point we were grabbing a coffee and we knew someone on the ship and they started yelling, Chucky, Chucky, go down to the fashion show. And I was like, what are you talking about? And Cruella de Vil was just having a fashion show like in the middle of the ship. Like there's just all kinds of, you just don't know it. I would say it's somewhat spontaneous, but if you're ever like, oh, what should I do right now? Chances are there's something going on in that atrium. I mean, they have people who are like guides, and they had Sage and Coriander, yeah, on the treasure. I can't remember their names on this ship. I'm drawing a blank, but
Kayla might
um,
remember. She was pretty
It
fascinated by
was Zara and Gamble.
Yes.
Yep.
so I mean, just in general, I would say
And if
it's
you
the
follow it
entire
through,
ship
right? Like
is
if you follow
focused
through
on
from
it.
the start to the end, am I wrong about that? Or right that they carry, the storytellers carry on from the beginning to the end. And then I was at the ending, the final with you, and I thought that was really cool. And Kayla's like, well, if you would have, hung around, you could have seen that the whole time. But I just love the creativity, the imagination, the theming comes to life. I know I've said this, and then Charles told me just recently that a lot of people were saying it, which I didn't know. But if anyone was ever lucky enough to do the Galactic Star Cruiser, the thing that I loved about that was just, and we went all in when our family did it. We did the costumes, we were there, we were part of it. And I feel like they're bringing that component to this ship because it is so immersive. There's no other way to explain the way that they're drawing you in with the story from the time that you walk on board until the time that you leave. So, okay, that's a lot about just we really talked more about the atrium because I do think it's the focal point and a huge part of the ship. But I do want to mention also when Kayla had mentioned the mosaics, but just the artwork. I can't wait to go back on board and honestly take a couple hours one day to walk each level of the ship just to see the artwork because the artwork is stunning. It's absolutely breathtaking, and it's not it's so hard the way that they're bringing like traditional characters, but just the concept, the art is so stunning. It's not like silly and goofy. It's beautiful. I love it, and I'm excited to be able to share some more of that when we are back on the ship. But okay, so I think we talked a lot about the rooms. We obviously talked about the kind of the feel of the entire ship. So let's go to why don't we talk about dining? We all love food. I will say for us, I think all three of us were the most excited to try the the Lion King restaurant. I'm drawing a blank. It's
Pride Lands.
Pride Lands. I was right.
Mhm.
Imagine that. I am a mom who and Chucky loved Lion King. It was kind of our family thing, right? Like we talk about our family a lot, and there's like that age gap between him and our younger two boys, and Lion King was like our thing. So I was super excited to do this restaurant. It ended up being my favorite thing about the ship and my favorite restaurant on any Disney cruise line. I loved the food, which for those that know me, I'm not like a big risk taker when it comes to food. I like flavor. I don't like spice. Kayla and Chucky both push me out of my comfort zone, which I'm glad they do because I wouldn't have tried the menu. You guys, I know because you were with me, I can't explain the way that the show itself, I think we can kind of talk about, was a little different than what I thought that it was going to be. And I almost think that's because of where we sat. I didn't feel like as immersed into the show that's on the stage in the middle of the restaurant. What I was captivated by was the menu, the food, and the lighting, even where we were, and what they do with the surrounding areas of the show was visually stunning. I think I kept saying to both of them, like, look at I mean, they just start to eat and I'd be tapping them like, look over there or look over there. That to me was absolutely beautiful. I loved that. I think Disney is missing a tiny, or maybe when we go back, hopefully we're a little closer, because the show itself didn't feel complete to me. As far as I didn't follow it, it just felt like it was missing something, but I don't know if it's because we weren't sitting close enough to be engaged in it. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts, but overall, I will say I thought it was stunning. It was beautiful, and I loved the food, but I'd love to have you guys talk in more detail.
Yeah, no, again, as a 90s baby, I love Lion King. I think as far as the show goes, and this was, I loved this restaurant, but there's also like some disclaimers that I want to say about it if you are going to go experience it. I am a huge adventurous eater. Like I will eat just about anything. Not that the food is weird, but I always say like, give me the weird food, give me the unique flavors, give me the stuff that people aren't normally going to try. Like that's the stuff I love. So I love that this menu has a lot of like the African spices and those different kinds of meats. Like you can get lamb, and they have like all kinds of just, it was really good. Everything was seasoned pretty well, which apparently I've heard is not always a thing that Disney does the best at on Disney Cruise Line. So I was very pleased that the food was seasoned very well for being a African inspired restaurant. I think the show, like Amy said, we were sitting pretty far back. And I think if I could give Disney one recommendation is to maybe have the performers wander the restaurant a little bit with the show. They stayed pretty central on the stage, which I thought was interesting because now, granted, I haven't been on the other ships, but from what I understood with some of those other similar shows, that there were some elements where they would go and wander the restaurant. And I feel like if they could incorporate some of that, at the very, very beginning, there was like a drummer that walked around, but that was while everyone was still sitting down. And so that didn't really feel like part of the show. That felt like, who's this guy? He's kind of in the way. Right now I'm trying to sit down. And so I feel like if they could just incorporate a little bit of that, I think it would drastically change the show. I think it would make it feel a lot more immersive. From a lot of my friends who did sit closer, like they definitely had a very different experience. Like they felt very immersed. They really enjoyed it. They got a lot out of it. For us, it feels more like it's just like ambient music, as opposed to being like a show, just because we were very far away. But I can't wait to go back because I keep dreaming about that food that I had. That prime rib I had was like so spectacular.
It was delicious.
And beautiful. Like they were presented very beautifully. The desserts looked really like they had all these beautiful colors. And it was just, it was just a very unique experience. And what I like about Disney Cruise Line is you can order as much food as you want. And so you can order the whole menu. And if you don't like something, that's okay. Just try something else. It doesn't matter. So it's a perfect place to go as a picky eater who wants to try something different because
Absolutely. We also talk about, we're a big Animal Kingdom Lodge family. We love, and I know Kayla, this is for you too, like we love Jico, we love Boma, we like Sanaa. If you like those foods, they did an amazing job of really bringing a different level, in my opinion. And I think they did the same thing with the Coco restaurant on the Treasure. What about you, Charles, Chucky? What did you think
I think
of?
aesthetically, it's the best restaurant in the fleet. I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think that it's definitely, far better than the Frozen iteration on the Wish. But something that Frozen does is that they are more interactive with the audience. So I think the show needs a little bit of work, like everyone said, but we were like the first group there.
Yep.
So I think it will change, and it's something that's a little bit fluid. I thought the food was pretty good. And I think aesthetically, it's the most beautiful of any of the Disney restaurants.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really cool.
Too.
It was a great addition.
So the other restaurants, obviously, they have 1923, which is kind of the standard, like your standard, would you call it a steakhouse? It's kind of a standard.
The night we went, they said it was a California inspired menu. Yeah. So the theme of the restaurant is animation.
Yeah.
Not kitschy animation, more like actual like studio animation. So you're going to see a lot of drawings and maquettes, like kind of all over, concept art, that kind of stuff.
I say if you want to dress up, well, people will always ask me, Disney doesn't do technically like formal nights anymore. They do suggested attire. And I would say for me, that would be the restaurant. And it is the one that I wore something a little dressier too of all. And then, of course, there's a Marvel restaurant on there, which I love the concept. This is just me personally. It's a lot for me. It's very loud. There's so much interacting. I think for families with kids, it keeps kids engaged. The menu's intriguing. For me personally, that's usually like the night I like to go to Palo, just because for me it's more the noise. But were you guys able? I know that's the night that I was off the ship, so I don't know if anyone
Nope.
actually got to. We have on the Wish and the Treasure, but not on the Destiny. Okay.
Hopefully we will. Well, okay. So this is something that's good to mention about Disney Cruise Line. So keep in mind that we were on a preview cruise, so things worked a little bit differently than normal. But typically what happens is with Disney Cruise Line, you have rotational dining. So you will eat at all of the like special restaurants. So normally, so like when we do go in June, we will be able to eat at all 3 restaurants. Sometimes, since it's a 5-night sailing, we'll actually eat at a few of them a couple times. So we didn't get to do it on our preview cruise because the schedule was a little weird, but normally we would go.
Yeah, let's segue. Chucky, why don't you talk about, because what we will also do in June, and I am very excited for Kayla and Mark Allen to try Palo, because I would love to do Palo every night. But do you want to talk about that? Because that is something, Palo and Ashante.
Yeah, we could talk about that briefly. Palo and Enchante are the same. It's Palo Steakhouse, and Enchante is and French inspired. What I didn't know is I heard on another podcast that the head chef was actually on our sailing for Enchante.
Oh, okay.
And he has 3 Michelin stars, which I think would have been super cool. But we did Enchante in April on the Wish. I think it's probably the best restaurant on
Oh,
Disney Cruise
so
Line, and maybe the best
delicious.
restaurant at sea. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it
It's
was very
really, really
good.
good. I recommend the highest menu there. I can't even tell you how many courses it is, and the
It's
maitre d' is
delicious, and
fantastic, and it's so good.
if you ever want to feel pampered or feel special, that is absolutely something to. I mean, because you can get dressed up, and then they cater to you, and the food, literally every single thing that I tasted just melted in my mouth. It was delicious. So, and I'm sure it's going to be the same,
And
obviously.
Palo's great too. In Palo, they added it. They put a bar area in Palo on the Wish class ships, so that's
Mm-hmm.
nice. And then there's the Rose as well, which is a really cool adult only. It's effectively it's the only adult only bar that's indoor, because with some of the changes that they've made it a little bit more family friendly. So that's actually a really nice space. It's very quiet, overlooking the ocean. All of the
Yeah.
Palo, and Palo again, Palo's Palo. Palo's great.
Yeah.
It's
Palo
pretty
brunch,
consistent, I would
and yeah,
say.
delicious. All right. So if everybody's not hungry, I'm starting to get hungry just thinking about like the good food. Let's transition into the lounges, because I think that this is my no, this is probably my favorite thing about the ship. I love the theming of these lounges, and the drinks, like the drink that I had with the perfume and the lipstick, like it, who the concept of this, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when they really put together what they were going to do with these lounges. So let's talk about the lounges. Kayla, I will let you talk about
Give
these,
the
because
rundown.
you got to get like an exclusive look into each of the lounges. So let's hear your take on them.
Yeah, so there are 4 main lounges, which those are going to be the ones that we're going to talk about. These are kind of the big draw of this ship because these are unique to this ship. First off, now the only one that's not unique to this ship is the Haunted Mansion parlor, because they do also have that on the Treasure. Very, very, very cool. There are tons of little Easter eggs in there. There's lots of little interactive elements, like interactive show elements. There's a big window behind the bar that like Maddie and Leota will come floating across and start doing her little seancey thing. And you can, like, if you're sitting at the bar, they'll give you a tambourine. And so when she does, like, she says the thing and you shake your tambourine. It's very funny. It's so fun. Then you have Cask and Cannon, which is the pirate pub. Loved that. It is themed after all of the Pirates of the Caribbean attractions around the world. So there are little elements from each one. So for example, the carpet has a Kraken on it that they said is from the really cool pirates. That's I want to say it's in Tokyo, Shanghai, that one. Like based off of that. The map book on the ceiling is from the Disney archives of when they were creating concepts of the attraction. And like there's lots of cool things like that. Then you have the Sanctum, which is the Doctor Strange bar. That one's going to be the one that's kind of like in the middle. So basically, like right when you walk off of the atrium, there will be this kind of open bar space. That is the Sanctum. If you've been on the other ships, that would be the same as where the Bayou is and the Jungle Cruise bar. Same area there. There are some very cool drinks there. I didn't get to try any, unfortunately, but I'm really excited to go try some because they are so cool, like literal magic. Like I really don't know how they did some of these. I don't even care if the drink is good or not. The cups are what's cool.
It's all about
one. There's literally one that like levitates and spins. I don't know how you do that without knocking your drink over, but literally it's just like it floats there. And then there's another one that it sits on this stand and then it lights up. But when you touch it, there's like these it looks like little sparks of electricity, like purple beams of light that follow your finger. If you've ever been to like a science museum and they have those balls with the electricity, you touch it and then all the little things come out. It's like what this cup does. So cool. And they have like one that has this bubble tower that comes out of it. And oh my gosh, so cool. I want to go back and try the drinks there because they look like a lot of fun.
Like, we need to make a point of having a meet and greet there when we do our friends and family. That's what we do. We go have drinks there.
It looks so fun. And they'll do some live entertainment there too. And then DeVille's. So DeVille's is the piano bar that is themed after Cruella de Vil. There are some really cool Easter eggs from the movie. They recreated the red telephone from the cartoon. The drinks there are very cool. It's very like posh. Like when you would imagine everything that you would imagine from a Cruella de Vil bar is like, it's just very posh and like luxe and I don't know, but it's still very cozy in there. We didn't actually get a chance to go in that bar because it was very packed because there was a lot of adults on our cruise since it was a preview sailing. Again, not normal, but very excited to go try that out. I've heard that she also will make appearances and cause some mischief in there. So
I'm excied.
Yes, that is the rundown of the 4 bars.
It was really cool. I got to go in and see it and get some pictures, and I loved it. I really was bummed that we didn't get a chance to go there. I'm looking forward to that very much. Pro
tip, though. So we did get to try one of the drinks. Yeah. There is a bar outside of DeVille's that's just like, it's like in the corner of the atrium. Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but it's like right. But they were serving.
It's still DeVille's. Is
DeVille's.
Okay.
They were serving the same menu. So even though it was packed in there, we were able to go out and still try one of the drinks, which was like a show in and of itself. Amy, I think you should explain that a little bit.
So because they bring it to, I did love it. So they bring it to you on like a, I didn't really, the drink was strong. Boy, they weren't messing around. I didn't like
the drink, but the presentation
was so cool. And they bring it out on like a tray, like a makeup tray, if you will, or like a perfume, you know, if you have a tray that has all of your stuff, your fun stuff on it. And there's like a perfume, like a perfume, not a holder, just an actual, what am I calling it? Just perfume like a bottle. Perfume bottle. Yeah. Thank you. The bottle. And so they have stuff that's in there. And then they have obviously the drink. And then you have like this lipstick that's actually like a popsicle. So it's frozen. And just the way that they present and the way that they make it, we'll actually have to incorporate that. We have a clip of that we'll have to put if you're watching on YouTube. The funny part was when you get the lipstick, I like looked at Kayla, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? And the bartender's like,
eat it.
You eat it. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is brilliant. Just the whole presentation was the coolest presentation that I've ever had. As far as a drink goes, but it was strong. I didn't actually get to finish it, but the presentation was great. I'm looking forward to going back and being able to get a little bit of time in that bar. Bars are usually, I don't mean to say like your thing, Chucky, but you like to have a good drink. You like to have a nice drink. You're not opposed to spending money on a nice drink. Hooked You did.
I was just gonna say, well, I wanted to mention briefly. Hooks is still they still have the speakeasy, and Hooks Barbershop. Um, the Tangled, you could still get drinks at the Tangled Spa. And then there is the adult only area that also has the Cove Bar up on the top, and then the outdoor Cove. I think that's also the Cove Bar back there. So just to mention, I know we're really focusing on the differences with the Destiny, but those things are all still the same. There's still Marceline Market with the bar. There's still Festival of Foods, which is like the outdoor area that's the same as the other Wish class. So I just wanted to mention that. Overall, yeah, I mean, the theming was incredible. I mean, it was so good that you couldn't get into a lot of these bars because people were loving it. But I think we were quite literally like the first guests in Haunted Mansion parlor when it started. We were like the first people to ring the bell and the tambourine, and we were able to grab a spot. And they actually, we had recognized the bartenders, and we were talking to them, and they did a completely different menu on this ship as well. And I think it was improved. I didn't care for the drinks on the Treasure, and I thought that they were slightly better on the Destiny. So I think they listened to guest feedback, and I thought that was really great. I was impressed. So it has all, again, just everything that you're kind of have known and loved on the Wish class ships. They
What
have
about the?
taken
But you
and done.
like bourbon quite a bit,
Yeah, that's at
and that's what
Hooks.
you do at Hooks because that's kind of an
Yep.
experience in itself.
Yeah, that's a whole experience in itself. And this sailing was a little bit unique because of it being a preview sailing, so the hours were a little bit different. But I was able to sneak in there one night. That's also where they do the bourbon tasting, they do the old fashioned tasting. Um, Kind of pro tip, they have these little medallions and they say the name of the ship that you're on, and they're for their higher end bourbon. Unfortunately, on our sailing they only had like the $1,000 or $2,000 a pour medallions, so I
Oh,
did
okay.
opt to skip that this time.
I guess so.
um
Yeah, we'll have to get one
but
for you next
yeah,
next
you'll have to
time
get
we're
one for
on.
me next time. But no, I
Yeah.
mean, they have an awesome selection. Bartenders were great. I would say I think Disney's mixology program is typically as good or better than any other cruise line that I've been on.
Well, good. I wanted to definitely mention that because I know that that is something that you enjoy personally and you make it time to do whenever we sail. So, anything else on the lounges? The Haunted Mansion, it's adore. I mean, I love that. Now I have had people ask me, kids that are under 21, can they go in the bars on Disney Cruise Line ship or on the sailings, and as long as they're with their parents, obviously.
Well, it
But
depends. The Wish class ships, they've kind of changed. The Magic and the Wonder, they're pretty much adult only all the time, but they have a more auxiliary spaces. It's different. The Dream and Fantasy, they kind of have opened up a couple things to kids, but it's still not where this ship, it's kids can go in until I think it's what, 8 o'clock. It's kind of like Trader Sam's. That's how I actually think of, honestly, I think Trader Sam's is kind of the precursor to every bar on this ship now. Like if you think of Trader Sam's, that's kind of what the level of theming, the idea, the drinks, the mugs. I mean, Trader Sam's has kind of been what all of them are, and they're just taking it and enhancing it with every single new
that's a
ship.
really good. That's a good analogy. I would agree with that. All right, so we've got talking about food. Now we're talking about drinks. Lord, let's talk about entertainment because I will say when it came to them announcing Hercules, it's not that I don't like Hercules. It was just like, man, that's kind of a unique show. It's just not overly popular one that I would choose. Oh my goodness. This
You weren't, hold on.
show.
Wait. You were not excited for a Hercules show? Hold on.
No, I just didn't know. I didn't. I love the Moana show. I think that's the best show at sea. And I was like, how are they going to match that?
See,
And
when they said Hercules show, I was like, okay, now I'm excited for
now
the ship.
that is so funny. I was excited about the ship the whole time. And then I was like, oh, that's what they're going to do. But I get it. It was visually stunning. I keep saying over and over that the puppetry, you cannot explain it until you see it. But the puppetry, the costuming, except Kayla, of course, will let us know what she thinks of Hercules' costume, because Kayla actually has a background, and I'll let her talk about that in costuming, and Disney needs to hire her to do something new for Hercules. But overall, the music, the lighting, all of it, I thought the show was absolutely stunning. It exceeded my expectations. I thought it was amazing. And the way that they incorporate the projections on the cast and on some of the costumes and the scenery, it is absolutely stunning. Do you guys agree? I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good surprises. Like there's just a lot of like technical things that they did that were surprising. They're not things that you normally would see in a stage show, and I loved that a lot. I will say, yes, my back room is in costume design, so I get a little little more judgmental about, and I think everyone's costumes were absolutely amazing. Hercules looks like a towel, and I don't like it. I'm not afraid to say that. It wasn't good. Yeah. But the rest of the costumes, fabulous, wonderful, 10 out of 10.
It's so funny. What about you, Charles? Because I know you're hit or miss when it comes to some of the shows.
The puppetry was incredible. I think it's the best thing at sea from a puppetry perspective. I don't know. I go back and forth on if I like that or Moana more, but it's splitting hairs. Yeah. They're both levels above anything else.
I feel like they pull at different heartstrings too. Like Hercules is very much more your fun, boisterous, like your very showy show. Moana is a very emotional show, which I haven't seen it, but just based on the movie, it is like Moana is going to be more the one that tugs at your heartstrings, whereas Hercules is going to be like the wow.
I should also mention Beauty and the Beast. That's another great show on Disney Cruise Line, and that was their first one that really dove into
projections
and just all of it. And I think Hercules is incredible. Honestly, Hercules and Lion King alone are worth booking the ship, just because those two things are completely different than any other Disney cruise line ship.
Yeah, I would agree. That, and then the atrium. Like those are the reasons that you would absolutely want to go on this ship. So this is the part of our podcast where we get to talk about our Amy's All In. And since you just have one of the Amy's today, I'm going to have you guys join me with what your All In is. I would love for you guys to give me what your all in is. And we're going to be very specific since it was the Destiny that we were just on. So give me your all in, what you are all in on Disney's Destiny. Who wants to go first?
I could go first.
Okay. You go first.
My all in is definitely the Kiss Goodnight. I think that it is worth staying up for at least one time on your cruise. I think I have heard that they will do it earlier in the night too. Like they'll do it a couple times. I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but that is what I have been told. But I do think that it is worth trying to catch at least once on your cruise.
My first thought was the Haunted Mansion parlor, but they have one on the Treasure as well. So, I mean, I think that it's incredible, and it is probably my number one thing. However, since it is on another ship, I will say for this ship specifically, the Pride Lands restaurant. I just think it's so cool. I think there's some things they need to work out still, but I think it has the potential to be the best restaurant in the fleet. I really do. I just think it's aesthetically, it's beautiful. Very talented performers. It's a very ambitious menu for Disney. And so I really hope that they kind of double down on that as it progresses. So I think the Pride Lands.
All right. And I'm going to say, and it's not really cheating, but even if it is, I can cheat, but I'm not really cheating. I want to say I'm all in on the Destiny itself, the immersiveness that I feel on the ship, whether I'm looking at a stateroom, whether I'm in a restaurant, whether I'm in a bar, whether I'm in the Grand Hall. Just the immersion of characters popping out here, characters popping out there. You are so immersed, at least I was, from the time I walked on that ship until the time that we disembarked. I feel like they absolutely nailed it more than any other ship. There are things that I love about each ship. I'm still partial to the Treasure. I just think that it's visually stunning. overall for me, the Destiny, I am all in on just feeling like the moment that I got there until the moment that I left, I was a part of every little thing. And I think Disney absolutely nailed it, and they exceeded my expectations with this ship. I'm so excited that we chose this for our friends and family sailing next year. Remember that this is our little plug here, obviously, for the agency, that Goofy Getaways is a travel agency, and we would love to book you on the Destiny. We'd love to book you on any vacation that you want to go on, any Disney cruise, Walt Disney World, you name it, we can do it. And we would love to have you reach out to us, which you can do at our website, which is www.goofygetaways.com. Or you can always catch us on our socials. We have Facebook, we have TikTok now, we have Instagram. Really, there's no excuse not to find us. But we have amazing travel advisors, consultants that are willing, able, ready to help you. You can go to our website, check it out. You can actually take a look at the bios and say, hey, I think this would be a really good fit for me. Or if you just reach out to the agency, we'll do a good job matching you with someone. So make sure and reach out to us. We're so excited to get you on the Destiny. Also, keep your eye out for more information if you haven't been following along about our friends and family sailing, because you still have a couple weeks where you can get some added perks if you book a trip to with us to sail with us. I mean, come on, look at how much fun would that be? With that, I'm going to say we will see ya
real soon.
If you liked today's episode of the Goofy Getaways podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember to follow Goofy Getaways on social media so we can lead you to the magic.